Thanks for staying tuned. If you're just joining in, this is the newspaper analysis segment, and it is the morning drive on Providence Television International. We'll be moving straight to the Daily Trust newspaper, where we have flooding kills over 170 people in 15 states. 107,652 hectares of farmlands, 80,049 houses destroyed. NEMA warns of severe incidents in September and October. As usual, on our newspaper analysis segment, I have with me Dr. Emmanuel Igariba. You're welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. At least in Benin, we don't have any, so far so good. Today is very warm in Benin. I don't know of other areas, but we thank God for that, yes.
We thank God it is well. And so looking at what we have from the front page of the Daily Trust newspaper, flooding kills over 170 people. This issue of preparedness as regards NEMA, what is your take on it? How prepared do you think NEMA is?
Well, I look at it from two sides. First of all, the people themselves, they have to be wary. And I think they take things for granted, because usually the meteorological services come up with the warnings, usual warnings, that people should move to the upland. But they don't heed this advice. And that means that they wait for these emergency situations to happen before they now start to move. So I should blame the people on the one hand. But on the other hand, yes, government itself should be ready to absorb the pains of the people, enlighten them. And I think it's the rest of the state governments. And there are many, almost 20 state governments. They should enlighten their people very, very well, particularly those who live in the land, in the villages, who have no access to modern technology. But they are farmers, and they stay along the riverbanks. So I'm suggesting that vehicles with megaphones, Land Rovers and all of that, should move into the interior and enlighten people of the dangers. They can even translate this into local languages, okay? And let them know that there are obvious dangers. But we always take these things for granted. There should be proper enlightenment. But I'm happy because it's just flooding that we experience in this country. I mean, there are countries around the world that experience earthquakes on a yearly basis, hurricane, typhoon, tsunamis, yearly. They are still able to manage them. And I'm happy that these things don't happen in Nigeria. If they do, how will we manage them? We are just talking about one of the law, just floods. So there should be thankful to God that it's just floods. The badly affected areas, I mean, take Edo State, for instance, the Lushi area, the people out there should be told in clear terms that they need to move into upland. But look at the irony. We are told that farmlands are being destroyed.
Yeah.
Concurrently, we are talking about banditry. Bandits going to farms are moving the farmers away. Now we are talking about floods. So two disasters almost happening at the same time. And yet we are going through a food crisis. So that means that food crisis will be worsened.
Exactly.
With the rains,
Exactly.
all right? So that's why governments must prepare adequately and enlighten people of the dangers. Science does not make mistakes as such. The meteorological services will tell you that it's going to rain in September, and it will rain. Yes, because it's science-based. So there are no mistakes about it, yes.
All right, we'll move straight ahead to the leadership newspaper. Front page, internship policy. NYSC rejects HND graduates at orientation camps. Riders to that effect demands industrial training certificate. Potential members stranded as officials halt screening. What's your take on this? As regards this continuous discrepancy between the HND and the BSc graduates, what's your take?
Honestly, I don't know what is going on in this country. I mean, if you ask me, we keep going from one problem to the other. Can't we have a solid policy in education, for example? A solid policy that we can rely on. I mean, look at it, for instance, the NYSC, our boys and girls will go through HND. After 3-4 years, then you are denying them of going into NYSC on the basis of the fact that they are holders of HND certificates, which doesn't make sense to me, really. Why can't we have polytechnics awarding degrees? Award degrees, BSc masonry, okay, BSc in welding, BSc in plumbing, Right. I mean, and these are vital areas that can move the economy. We don't do that. And we create all these unnecessary discrepancies. I mean, if you go to England, there are polytechnics that award degrees. We can replicate that in this country. So we don't have a situation where about 1 million, 2 million people are shortchanged on a yearly basis. It could even be more, for instance. So I think that the educational policy should be looked into very seriously. I mean, we have become a laughing stock. Why do we allow, and they pay school fees, by the way. They pay school fees going through the system. What is wrong with us to give, what is wrong in us giving degrees to these boys and girls who pass through the polytechnic? And there are good polytechnics in this country. The Polytechnic Ibadan is one of the best in this country. Auchi Polytechnic is there. It's been on for decades, right? They train people for accountancy and things like that. And make no mistake about it. If you put a graduate here, mechanical engineering or whatever, from the regular university, and put another one who went through the same mechanical engineering, you will find that you have better results from those who went through the polytechnic because they are more into practicals. Yes. And that's a big problem.
We're going to talk extensively on the education system. That will be during the program. But to end the newspaper analysis segment, we'll move to the Nigerian Observer, where we have on the front page, persisting oil theft worries stakeholders as federal government seeks to encourage local refiners. Is encouragement of local refiners the solution to this issue of oil theft?
That doesn't worry me at all. That doesn't worry me. It doesn't worry many Nigerians. What worries me is the fact that the culprits are never apprehended. They're never. I mean, every year we keep talking about oil theft, and it's bringing our oil production down. We know the culprits. I mean, the government knows the culprits. Why can't we apprehend them? Are they above the law? Many people have said in this country that a lot of government people are involved. Yes, because, I mean, look at it, for instance. You have the Navy, you have the police, you have the army, all security agencies. They cannot apprehend those who pillage our resources. It is strange. You remember a few years ago, we were told plainly that about 4 kilometers of pipeline went into the sea undetected in this same country. 4 kilometers. I mean, we're not talking about 400 meters. No. We're not talking about 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers. We're talking about 4 kilometers into the high seas undetected. I mean, this is a country where a private individual would be licensed to monitor the seaways. What is the matter? And yet, except we are playing the ostrich. If we are playing the ostrich, we pretend as if nothing is happening. And yet, things are happening to bring our production down. And we keep talking about bringing our production to a level where we can compete favorably with other countries around the world. At the same time, we are closing our eyes to people who pillage our resources. Knowingly and maybe unknowingly. But knowingly in the main, because they do it deliberately. Okay? And there must be laws, strict laws. Just as you have in traffic, you call it strict liability laws. Once you are guilty, you are guilty. And once you are guilty of that, you are apprehended and you are sentenced. There are no fast rules about this. So that is the solution. I think government is pretending because I think that these people are known. Just that people are saying now that people behind banditry are also known. Okay? So why are we pretending? And yet money is voted year in, year out to protect the security, the occurrences in the high seas. Where does the money go to?
Well, that will be an issue for further dialogue, further discussion on this program. Where does the money actually go to? We'll call security operatives who will definitely throw some light into this, and then some individuals from the oil sector. We'll take this break for our words on Mabu. Don't go away. Please stay tuned. Thanks so much for staying tuned. If you're just joining in, this is the Morning Drive on Providence Television International, and this is the interview segment. And with me, once again, Dr. Emmanuel Egariba. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you. But before we go into the interview session, I thought I should bring this to the notice of our viewers. Okay. It's going to be regular, by the way, but Today is August 29th, and we remember those who were born, those great celebrities who were born this day, August 29th. Some of them have passed, many of them, but I just thought we should talk about 4 of them.
Okay.
The first is John Locke. Those who are students of philosophy will remember John Locke, a great philosopher, pioneer in modern political thinking. So if you went through law, if you went through political science, there's no way you won't know about John Locke, a British philosopher who was born this day. In fact, one of the things he said in one of his major writings, and I'll quote him here, where there's no law, there's no freedom, which is true. So John Locke, we remember him, he's long gone, but that's where it is. The second one is Oliver Wendell Holmes, Sr., born this day in Cambridge, Massachusetts in 1809. But look at the mix. A great man. He was a physician, medical doctor, he was a poet, and also a philosopher. So we also remember him for the many things he has done for the world of literary postulations. Now the third one here is the great megastar Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was born this day in Gary, Indiana in 1958. But of course, he died June 25th, 2009. That's a long time out. But he was called the King of Pop. And we cannot forget him in a hurry because he was noted for his moonwalk and fashion sense. A mega star by our standards, super legend, Michael J, as people will call him. We remember him, may so continue to rest in peace. He was born this day, August 29 in Indiana. Now the last one there is John McCain. John McCain, very controversial figure. He was he was on the bill many times to become the U.S. president, but he didn't quite make it. He was born this day in Coco Solo in Panama, Central America, and he died on the 25th of August. Born on the 29th and died on the 25th of August. Maybe he had a plan for that. But he was an ex-naval officer who fought in Vietnam, a war veteran, a war hero, ex-senator on the bill of Republican Party back in the United States. So these are the 4 we want to talk about today. On a regular basis, we pick on these global figures, maybe African figures, Nigerian figures, as it were. But we are just starting out today, and now we can be back to our interview series.
And on the interview segment today, we'll be looking at the education system in Nigeria. A plus or minus as seen by the public?
Minus to a large extent, yes. Minus because are we doing it right? I mean, because some of us went through the old order in this country, and we cannot compare what's happening now in the educational sector with what we experienced. I keep talking about the old order because education was what it should be. I mean, for instance, there's no hype about it, but I went to Edo College. And when we went there, Edo College, one of the best schools in this country, we experienced what education was. In fact, with all the other schools around, here in this part of the country, the old Midwest. Okay? But what do we find now? There's so much indiscipline. The teachers are not doing it right. Okay? You have so much hooliganism in schools, cultism, even going into the secondary school. So what are we talking about? Cultism. Teachers get beaten up by students once in a while. And the boarding system is almost totally gone. That's where you breed leaders. But today, how many schools do we find that can incorporate the boarding system? In Edo State, for instance, there are very few, maybe about 5, less than 10, probably. These students all through, okay? So, but that's on the one hand. On the other hand, you remember in this country, we used to have what we call a 6334 system. Brilliant idea. Brilliant idea. Almost faultless. And the reason was that's what will have brought this country up to the zenith. And what was the technicality involved? 6 in the primary school, 3 in GSS, 3 in senior secondary, then 4 in the university. Unbroken. Unbroken. Now, the first 3 in GSS, it was a terminal point, okay, where you could now decide whether to go into the university or to go into the technical. Again, I'm talking about technical education because that's what it was meant to do. technical education at the terminal point of the first three. Okay? So with your potentials, they will know, the authorities will know that you are best suited for formal university education or for the technical institutions. It is at that point that you decide. But what now happened? Everybody wanted to go into the university. And again, the other problem was, where were the facilities for our technical schools? None, on ground.
Okay.
Look at the Benin Technical College. I'm happy now that it's been brought back by Governor Baseki. It was established by Ogbemudia in those days, by the with the relationship with the Canadian government. Well equipped, and you could trust the students who came out from that institution. But the others, where were they? You did not prepare the students for, so they were disillusioned. And the parents too did not help matters, not for any fault of theirs, because they wanted their children, wanted good education for their children. So they went into the university. So the universities were now clouded. Okay? And that also meant that the polytechnics were just left to rot. That's the result we are seeing now. Okay? From the newspaper analysis. I mean, we talked about it a little while ago. Yeah. Now, even look at the university system. In those days, this same University of Benin that we are talking about now started as MIT, Midwest Institute of Technology. And when it started, you had 2 people to a room. 2 people to a room. I saw it because some of our seniors at the college started. They were pioneer students at MIT. We used to go visit them on Sundays. And they would give us a meal ticket, go to the cafeteria. For one person, you'll have half a chicken. And we'll eat our fill. What is happening in the university now? Tell me. Most of the universities have become glorified secondary schools. I don't want to mention names, but that's what they are. Glorified secondary schools. You are not even sure of the caliber of students you are turning out from the universities. A few years ago, somebody came here. He came with his father. We had not started this whole idea of a television station. He was looking for a job. The father brought him here. You know, said, okay, you go and write an application. He wrote one in his own handwriting. Okay. And when he brought it, I almost threw up. He had a 2-1 from one of the universities around in this part of the country. A 2-1. I don't want to mention the university because that would be a blow on the university. But he got a 2-1, public admin. Okay. He could not write a complete sentence. And when I asked him to come, of course he did. I said, who wrote this? He said, he did. This. That's what you wrote. And you had a 2-1, meaning that it was just good enough for a master's program. Okay, but he couldn't get it right. And we are still turning out students that we cannot trust. That's the state of our educational system. And it is education that holds the key for development, particularly in the sciences. It is education that holds the key. Once you cannot turn out good graduates, then the country is doomed.
And so do you think?
Yes.
Do you think that this whole blame could go to the lecturers or the total Nigerian system?
It's the system. Lecturer, how many of the lecturers are paid well in this country? Go to Uniben here. Look at the classrooms. It's probably now, maybe the VC is doing 1 or 2 things. And Professor Oshodi may so rest in peace. Look, at a point in time, you will go along the staircase in some of these universities. You will have human waste. Along this staircase, human waste. Students will be smoking marijuana openly. I mean, what kind of students are you breeding from that kind of system? Right. The hostels are packed there. Where you should have about 4 students, you have about 21. 21 in one room. Tell me what kind of student you are turning out from there. So if you are not privileged, you cannot have your child to be in an apartment that probably accommodates 1 or 2 people. You are not privileged. But should everybody be that privileged? Education should be, it's not a money-making thing really. It's a social service. But right now we have private universities going into their hundreds. Okay? Where a private university will take as much as 5 million for you to get a child into the university. Okay? So, but the public university should be well equipped. Because in our time, there were no private universities. We had more of public universities, and they were doing well, doing very, very well. We had good lecturers. Okay? Fantastic lecturers. But right now, what do you find? What do you find? It's a pity. It's a malady. that we need to cure. A great malady in this country. The education system is upside down. And I must say it because this is what everybody knows. The education system is upside down. How much is even voted for education in our budget?
Well,
how much?
Well, viewers, the MCR has just given us a signal that we're actually running out of time. This discussion is going to continue. If you remember some time ago, Dr. Emmanuel Egariva mentioned that the education can be made free in Nigeria.
Oh yes, oh yes.
Dr. Emmanuel Egariva is still telling us today that education is not a money-making venture. We'll talk about this on the next edition of the Morning Drive on Providence Television International. Please look forward to that. And then, for those of you who have not subscribed, please do that, because it is for your sake that we are here. You simply go to your YouTube, just type in Providence Television International, and you are good to go. This is not the only program we have lined up for today. We have a new man in town, as the saying goes, as regards the FRSC, and Providence Television International as the game changer. We're the first station to host him on an interview session. This comes up next. Once again, thanks for watching, and like I would always say, please stay tuned. Thanks for coming to the studio, sir.
Thank you very much. I hope that discussion will continue. I hope so, and we'll ventilate some of our feelings. Yes,
we'll definitely do that. Please stay tuned. Thanks for watching.